Hi, you guys, it's me, Kathy Griffin, and welcome to Kathy Griffin Talk Your Head Off. Now, I'm going to be honest, this episode is going to be all over the place. First of all, I'm still learning. We're putting this show together. So I used to tape on Tuesday, and then it would air, go live the next Tuesday, but now we're doing same day. Now, I also want to say like and subscribe for the love of God, because I understand I'm the plateau queen. Please don't let me plateau again. I can't take it. I can't take it. I need to have a trajectory. All right, so get your friends to watch this. It's free, for Christ's sake. All right, and you know what Threads is? It's owned by Meta, which is Facebook. And by the way, I just read 3 whistleblower books on Facebook, and they are demonic. So be careful of Zuckerberg and Sandberg, because they're manipulating elections. And I recommend you read one book called Mindfuck by Christopher Wiley, the one by Frances Haugen, and then the one by the other girl, Sarah Wynne Williams. Okay, so look up those books and read them. Now, like I said, all over the place, but so much to cover. As hard as I work on this show, and I get my hair and makeup done by my friend Mandy, and she's amazing. Although I'm going to tell you what happens when I'm getting my hair and makeup done, which is a 2-hour process. It starts with coffee. I make her coffee. I can't cook, but I can make a black eye. Hear me out. A black eye is a coffee with 2 shots. Anyway, then we start gossiping, and then she manipulates me and starts talking about things that I then end up putting on camera and getting in trouble for. So I'm that kid in school that you were able to be the devil on my shoulder and be like, hey, Kath, why don't you make fun of the nuns? Nothing bad will happen to you. And then I make fun of the nuns and I get hung up in the cloakroom. All right, I digress. So really quickly, we were listening to an album I want all of you to listen to, and it's an album. So you youngs know what I mean. It's by a man named Brian Wilson, and it's called Smile, and it's a masterpiece. So I called Sia yesterday, you heard me, Sia, and I said, I want you to listen to this album, Smile, cover to cover. I think it encapsulates the way you think as well. And Brian Wilson was a musical genius, and hello, Carney, and hello, Carney's kid. All right. So we were listening to that and then talking about those times and stuff. And then Mandy made a really good point. She was like, you know, a lot of really big stars did not go to the No Kings rally, the No Kings marches, parades, whatever you want to call them. And I agree. I went to my local one in Malibu, and I know I should have gone downtown, but I think it's important that we do the small town ones. So I live in a really small town, population 13,000, and I didn't think there would even be a rally here, but there was one, and we had about 800 people, which is, once again, a lot for a small town. And I know Rachel Maddow covered the rallies in small towns and big cities all over. Chicago really turned out, Boston, New York, DC, outside Mar-a-Lago, which is the greatest. Oh, here's one of the reasons that I question whether or not I should even bother doing this show, where I stress every view and subscribe and want it to grow. And yet last night I was going to bed and I put this on Threads, which to me is the new Twitter, since Elon bought it and made it shitter. Anyway, I just wrote, I don't care what, all caps, fat ass. Yeah, I called him a fat ass and I stand by it, says. The No King's Day protest shriveled his little mushroom dick right down to its little stem. 31.3 thousand likes. That's a lot for Threads. And so I'm just laughing that, like, I've got a whole lighting set up. I've got fake eyelashes on. I've got the dogs. I've got my notes of things to talk about. And then last night I'm in bed in my PJs and then 32,000 likes or whatever. Why do I bother? Okay, so I went to the No King's Day protest with my friend Lisa Guerrero. She's amazing. She wrote a fantastic book called Warrior. She was on Inside Edition chasing down bad guys for years. You've seen her, you love her. And so here's a video of when Lisa went first, by the way. I put myself first on the video because it was on my socials, but I got to give her credit.
Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
We We were standing there with our signs. Here's the sign I had. You know what sign I wanted to use? I wanted to make a sign that said, "Don't make me get the head out again." But my lawyers were like, "You're going to get picked up by ICE." Okay, so, and I say that with sadness, not humor. Okay, so I feel very strongly as an American that it's important to show up to these protests. It's the least we can do, you guys, the very least. In fact, I am posing this question to you. Out of all of you that want to resist, and some of you are centrists, and some of you might even be MAGA, who accidentally like me because I talk smack about celebrities, but everybody does want our democracy to stand, even the MAGA folks, although some of them want him to be a king, which is, they're just mentally ill. But what do you think, and I want to hear this in the comments, what do you think is an act of resistance we've done that actually works or worked? Because I can only think of one, and it's the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Now, I know it might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things to be like, oh, big deal, your buddy, a late night host, got in trouble and was taken off the air for a few days. No, it's not that. First of all, Stephen Colbert was fired and the show is now ending, and that never should have happened. And absolutely, Stephen's voice should be out there. And if it isn't Stephen Colbert, it should be somebody making fun of the president. That's what late night hosts have always done. That's what Saturday Night Live does. That's what primetime talk shows do. And there are primetime talk shows. But, you know, that's what comedy shows should do. That's called punching up. Making fun of the president is punching up. So you can't say someone's being mean if they're making fun of the leader of the free world. All right, so as you know, the president was able to, through various mergers that were happening, get Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air. But I think it wasn't until you guys actually canceled your Disney, Hulu, and ESPN subscriptions that in 3 days, Trump caved and Jimmy Kimmel was back. So can you guys think of anything else? I asked the question online, and no one could think of anything but the Target boycott, which is good that it's had some effect, you know, hitting them in their wallet, because I believe that's the best way to resist is get them in their wallet, because that's what a kleptocracy is about. And that's what this is. People say authoritarianism. It's really a kleptocracy with oligarchs. Those are the billionaires, et cetera. Okay, so I travel the real America. I'm going back on tour November 8th, where I will be at Planet Hollywood. And I will be in Anaheim on October 22nd at the Grove. And then I'm off for the holidays, and then I have like 25 more cities, and I'm going to the real America. So what I know and what you guys know that are watching, and if you're overseas and watching, you should know that what Target and Walmart have done is they have purchased the mom and pop stores in many, many rural areas. So there are many folks that are watching this that don't have a choice regarding whether or not they can boycott Target or Walmart. So while the Target boycott, I think, has affected them a little bit, they're such a wealthy company, they'll be fine. But the fact that the number of people that actually canceled Disney, Hulu, and ESPN cost Disney possibly billions of dollars and made them cave in 3 days worked. So hit them in their wallet. But I also think the marches really work, just because I know the Donald and his ego is out of control. So he might have gone golfing with his fat ass and acted like he didn't care. But of course he cares. Hundreds of millions of people were out in the streets, or I don't know if there were hundreds, plural, but there were definitely tens of millions of people, but probably around the world there were hundreds, because this is global, and anywhere you go and they hear your American accent, I guarantee you, you're going to be asked what the fuck we're doing. All right, so that brings me to bashing celebrities. So I have a list here of the celebrities that are on record for protesting, okay? So this is not everybody, all right? So in addition to myself and Lisa Guerrero, Pedro Pascal, come on, Kerry Washington, John Bon Jovi, Jack Black, John Cusack, Billy Eichner, John Cusack, Billy Eichner, Jamie Lee Curtis, Glenn Close, Spike Lee, Ben Stiller, I saw Ed Harris at mine, Mark Ruffalo, Cecily Strong, and Ed's wife, Amy Madigan, by the way. Okay, These are some celebs I'm just going to kind of lightly put on blast because they were not at the protest. And I know some of them have done certain things like Taylor Swift. I know she endorsed Kamala via an Instagram post, but we needed to see her holding Vice President Kamala Harris's hand, who is a woman of color, so I'm guilting you, Taylor, holding her hand up like this in unity, like Beyonce did, and like Beyonce did for Hillary Clinton, and like LeBron James did. And, you know, in this country, we liberals, we tend to say, listen to Black women, and then we don't. So as some of you know, I read Kamala Harris's book, 107 Days, and then I had the opportunity to meet her. And it really kind of shows that she kind of never stood a chance. We're so racist in this country. I'm sorry to make this a serious episode. Well, I'll take a break and then I'll get back to calling out celebrities that don't protest enough. I have been having some procedures, and I had a colonoscopy. And if you're not old enough to know what that is, it's when they stick a camera up your butt and they look at your miles and miles of colon and see what's going on. So I had one 3 months ago and they snipped out some polyps, but there was one so big that I had to have another one yesterday. And you know how they always make comparisons like, oh my gosh, you had a tumor and it was the size of a grapefruit or the size of a kiwi or the size of a, okay, so I'm not saying the polyp was somewhere the size of in between my Grammy and somewhere in between one of my Emmys. And that's just a chance for me to talk about my Grammy and my Emmys. I have 2 Emmys. And if I have to put them up my butt to exit this country as a political refugee, I will. Anyway, another great thing that happened at my colonoscopy is when I was done and you know, they said I don't have cancer for now, which is great. But guess who I run into at the colonoscopy, at the hospital, at the colonoscopy department? Freaking Charo. I love Charo. If you don't follow her on socials, follow Charo. If you're my generation, you know her, you love her. She's a guitar virtuoso as well. So I finished my colonoscopy. I'm not out of it anymore. I'm okay. And then I see Charo and I'm like, Charo, are you okay? And she looks at me and she stands up and she goes, you're a bad bitch. I love you. And we hugged and we've met many times. We're friends, but it's worth getting a colonoscopy to run into Charo. Leonardo DiCaprio, Will Ferrell, Tom Hanks. Now, I know Tom Hanks has been a good liberal, but Tom, I need you to be as out there and vocal as you were about the World War II Greatest Generation stuff, because we need big, big stars that we look up to. I don't know if we look up to Leonardo DiCaprio. He's an amazing actor, but kind of a whore. Brad Pitt, same, whore. Jennifer Lopez, get out there. You were out there for Biden. We need you out there. The Rock, you said that you weren't going to vote for Biden. Well, I hope you voted for VP Harris. And if you didn't, that doesn't make you look good. And so we need you out there protesting for democracy itself. And by the way, don't go on Fox. I saw him on Fox. George Clooney, I know you think you're in trouble because you wrote that op-ed, but redeem yourself and get out there and walk among the people or bring security. Miley Cyrus, we need you out there. You know, eventually we have to worry about whether or not the midterms are even going to happen. Leave a note in the comments and let me know if you think the midterms are even going to happen. And if so, do you think they're going to be free and fair? Because I've been open about this before, so why not do it on my own show? I personally call it tinfoil hat. I do not think that Trump won in a free and fair election. There, I said it. I think they do the things that they accuse us of doing. So, you know, whether it's ballot box stuffing or Elon interfering or Elon paying voters $1 million per person to vote for Trump. Remember that crazy mess that's just caught up in the courts right now? There's no consequences. And so we have to have midterms. And if you're in California, yes, on Prop 50. I don't want to argue about it. Either you get it or you don't. Lady Gaga, I love you, but we need to see you out there at these protests. And same with you, Zendaya. You're an icon. It would mean so much to young people if you would be out there. Just put on a baseball cap and take a couple selfies at a protest and have a good sign. Tom Cruise, I'm not even going to get into the Scientology stuff. I don't care anymore. But we need you protesting. You do live here, or at least have houses here. And it should matter to you that it remains a democracy. You don't want them to freeze your assets, Tom, who I've never met. Justin Bieber, what are you afraid of? You've weathered worse storms than this. Get out there and be pro-democracy. And that means being a Democrat. Yeah, be a proud liberal. That's what artists are. If you're an artist and a conservative, that's an oxymoron. I mean, you've got to believe in free speech. Jimmy Fallon, come on. Don't shy away from Trump jokes. You've got the freaking Tonight Show. You've got the mic, rock it. All right, those are just some of the names. And I know I should have given other people credit that deserve it that I forgot. And I also probably can think of other people to call out, but put them in the comments. Put people on blast for not showing up for democracy, especially if you're someone that did get out there in March in the beating hot sun or the pouring rain or whatever your situation was. Okay, so I want to tell you about the week I've had, and I hope you find it amusing. First of all, get this shit. I won an award. Now, the reason I'm bragging about it is I'm always the one handing out the award. Like, somebody calls me to either introduce the bigger star that's going to hand out the award to a big star, or I'm the medium star who hands the award to the big star. I have given out awards countless times over decades of being in trouble and yet still being the person to give someone else an award. And so there's a great cancer organization called We Spark, and they have a facility where you can go and meet other folks that are struggling with cancer. I had lung cancer, and they have all sorts of programs there you can take advantage of and stuff. And so they gave me an award called the Heart Award. What about that? And there's a statue. Do we have the statue? We're going to get the statue. Why not? It's a pretty statue. And you know who gave me the award? Ed Begley Jr. Now, he also is epic. He is a living legend. He's so funny, but also a great dramatic actor. He's been around forever. He has a book out himself that I have at my front door, multiple copies of. That's how much I love his new book. Here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now presenting myself with the Kathy Griffin Heart Award from We Spark. So okay. Can I tell you something else? All right, so November 4th is my birthday, and I'm gonna be 65. What I'm doing for my birthday is I'm going to be a guest on the Sherry Shepherd Show. Sherry is one of my oldest friends. We used to work together on a sitcom every day called Suddenly Susan. I just love her. She's as real as it gets, and she's so funny, and she's so sweet, and she's such a good mom, and she has a great group of girlfriends. So anyway, I'm gonna go on her show to promote my special that's here on YouTube that's free, that you can watch right now, called Kathy Griffin, My Life on the PTSD List. It's free, you guys, and you know what I learned? You guys love free shit. Oh my God, do you love free shit? You don't have to put your credit card down. You don't have to put your email down. You can actually just copy and paste it and send it to your friends, and they can just watch it whenever they want. The special's doing pretty well. It's over 200,000 views. But of course, we want to get it up as high as possible because, like I said, it's just my gift to you. It's free. Pass it around and hope you laugh at it. Okay, so getting the award was just mind-blowing because I'm always the one giving it, and it was fun. And then I got up there, and instead of doing an appropriate acceptance speech, I just started doing some stand-up. And that was really fun too. Okay, so I also had dinner with John Edward. John Edward had that show Crossing Over, and I'm a skeptic and that sort of thing, but we are friends, and he's never given me a reading, but one of these days I'm gonna get up the nerve to ask him. Anyway, he told me something that was really interesting. As I'm about to go on tour, he said, don't be afraid to lean into your humanity, and don't be afraid to not be funny every second, but to give the audience a human connection moment, because that's what we need in this divided time. Because like I said, I'm going to the real America, and I'm looking for those blue dots in a sea of red. So please get tickets at kathygriffin.com. I'm going to 26 cities. And money talks and bullshit walks. And I know times are tough, but if you could possibly afford to get tickets to my show, please come see my new show. It's all different material than the free YouTube special. So there you go. You got a free special. Now come buy tickets and come see me. Okay, so at dinner with him, I admit I was a little nervous dead people were going to show up. And knowing my luck, it would be dead people that are pissed at me. So like Whitney Houston, who got very mad at me one time. But he is just a normal guy and a very nice guy. But we do text. And so I admit sometimes when I'm texting with John Edward, I feel like he's trying to send me messages. So I've talked to you guys about these before, but I'll tell you again, I have these salon parties, and the premise of them is there are no phones allowed at the table, which makes today's people lose their mind. And you have to actually look into each other's eyes and speak to one another. I have 12 to 14 people. I cast them like a play. So I usually have 6 introverts and 6 extroverts. And I have a guest of honor, because if you have a guest of honor, the other guests behave better. And here's the key rule, and this is the most difficult rule out of all my rules. And I rule these parties with an iron fist. There's only one person is allowed to speak at a time. Now, I know that sounds like, oh, big deal. I'll just say that at the beginning. No, because, you're sitting next to somebody new and you want to start a side conversation. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? What do you do for a living? Whatever. So no, I make everyone go around the room, give their name and bona fides. And, I say, look, even if you're a celebrity, and usually I throw in like a couple celebrities, but I don't want it to be all celebrities. But throwing in a couple is kind of fun, especially if you put them in like a fish out of water situation. So this week I had one, which actually had 2 guests of honor. One was the great journalist, Kim Masters. Kim is a friend of mine and an idol because she is really ballsy and fearless, and all the executives are afraid of her. She did a lot of Weinstein reporting, and she's just intrepid, as they say. So cancer survivor as well. So she has come to a couple of salons where she could barely even, make it up the stairs and eat. And so it was great to see her healthy. And so it was her birthday. And then Victor Shee, my friend who's in the picture we'll show you, he works for Mayor Bass here in Los Angeles, who I love. I'm a big Mayor Bass apologist, so come at me. I know. But like I said, we say listen to Black women, and then we don't. Do we, white people? So I'm listening to Mayor Bass because she would do a better job than Rick Caruso. Okay, and or you or me. So let's just stick with the plan. And I don't know about that city council. They seem a little wackadoodle, so she's got to deal with them as well. And the LAPD and the LASD. So she's got a full plate. That aside, the other guest of honor was Justin Jones. Now, he is one of the Tennessee 3. If you're a political person, now is the moment you're going, whoa, I thought Kathy was D-list. This is an A-list moment. Now, he is a Tennessee state rep. So not in the U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate. He is a state rep. And he's African-American. And part of the Tennessee 3 is 2 African-American guys, both named Justin, and one lady who looks like a Karen, but she's not. She's a white lady, and she's a good white lady because when they were voted in, they're all Democrats, and the majority of the Tennessee House is Republican, and they literally locked the doors and wouldn't even let them come in and do their jobs, and they were just elected. So they were physically kicked out, and that's when they became the Tennessee 3. And right now, Justin was sitting next to me at the salon, and I said, where are you now? Are you, on a timeout? Are you kicked out? Are you allowed back in? It's all unconstitutional. So it's all insane. Never in my lifetime can I remember a House member being physically locked out of the House and being told, even though you were just elected, you can't vote. They then had a special election, and guess what? They all got reelected. And so the people are behind them, but the gerrymandered Republican House in Tennessee is not. So right now, Justin Jones told me that he is not allowed to speak on the floor he's still on some kind of a bullshit timeout. But it turns out Morgan Fairchild attended, and Morgan Fairchild is someone that beautiful and glamorous, and you associate her with beauty and glamour, and yet she's secretly a big nerd, and she's highly, highly intellectual. She's especially interested in the sciences and epidemiology, and she's worked a lot with Dr. Fauci. So she knew all about Justin. So here's a picture of myself, Morgan, and Justin Jones. And that kind of encapsulates what the salons are about. Putting people together that maybe wouldn't typically be together, but we had a great conversation. Sorry guys, I have a dry mouth today. A great conversation and a really good time. You know why I'm nervous? Because I know some of the comments are gonna be like, stay in your lane, bitch. Just talk about the Kardashians. I'd love to see the Kardashians out there fighting for democracy more and not hanging out with the Bezoses. And I love those girls. I love every one of those girls. I would say Rob, but I know Rob the least. But I mean, I don't dislike Rob. But they're powerful women, whether you want to make fun of them or not. And I have certainly made fun of them. But they are all really nice and really sweet. And they're good people. I just think they're kind of leaning more toward the, I hate to say it, possibly Trumpy side of things. And I don't know them well enough to sit them down and be like, here's why Rick Caruso is not a good guy. He's just Donald Trump 2.0. I don't have that kind of relationship. Or I could, and they'd be like, whatever, next. But, you know, we need some good billionaires on our team. They have all the billionaires that are just doing horrible things for democracy, from Elon to TikTok now being owned by an Ellison and a Murdoch. Look up the names, Larry Ellison and Rupert Murdoch, if you don't, but TikTok is not your TikTok. It's not even the TikTok of the government of China anymore, which was the former owner. You guys on social media, YouTube, hear me now, wake up. TikTok was owned by the government, the communist government of China. It's now owned by David Ellison and Lachlan Murdoch. And you guys, sure, they're going to allow dance videos and makeup tutorials and cooking, but anything that's even slightly to the left, like what I'm doing now, is getting banned. I have a friend who was at the Salon, Alex Scooby, who's been perma-banned. So just know, in a world of social media, we're still the Wild West. You know, I'm somebody who's a lefty and I talk about pop culture and stars a lot, and that's fantastic. And I'm thrilled I ran into Charo at my colonoscopy, but I also have a political side, and I also was happy to participate in the No Kings protest. And I really want to hear from you guys what else you think we can do that's effective. Do you know that today, and this is why I'm fighting to have less graphics on this show, but have the show go live the day that I tape it. Today, there are bulldozers at the White House. Do you know who owns the White House? You do. Okay, we the people own the White House, and Donald Trump, who was not duly elected, in my humble opinion, is making a giant ballroom out of it, which is what Hitler did. Hitler did that when he took over Germany. And there was a time when I would say that I felt Trump was Hitlerian, and people would be offended and say, you've gone too far, as usual. And now they're bulldozing part of the White House. So just take a break from the other things you're doing that have nothing to do with democracy. Just can you promise Aunt Kathy you'll spend 15 minutes a day finding legitimate news with secondaries and tertiaries? I always say that because that means they have real backup, not Joe Rogan, but real news, and see where democracy stands. And you know what else I want to know? I want to know what you're paying more for than you did a year ago. Because you guys all bitched about Biden, and yes, he was too old to be president. And yes, I want a woman of color. That's me. I want a woman in my lifetime. Probably won't happen. But we got to galvanize around somebody because we can't let a Bernie Sanders come in and split us, or a Jill Stein, or a Gary Johnston, or any of those fools. And yeah, I know the burners are going to be upset, but he did split the party. And that was done largely by social media. And that shouldn't happen again. We have a two-party system for now, whether you like it or not. You can change it later, but right now we have bulldozers at the White House building a Hitler ballroom for fat ass. All right, I'm gonna end on that because I know this is gonna get me in a lot of trouble, and that's what I'm here for. So if you've watched the whole thing, thank you so much. And I'll be here next Tuesday, and my special is free called Kathy Griffin, My Life on the PTSD List. Help me get more views. And please buy a ticket to my tour. Go to kathygriffin.com. I'm coming to a city near you. Thank you. The dogs, thank you. Thank you for being patient and letting me rant. This week, I just had to rant. I love you guys, and I'll see you next Tuesday.